Okay, well, great. Well, hi everybody. Welcome to your Tuesday again. If you feel like this is deja vu all over again, you probably just heard what I'm just going to say one more time. But at any rate, we appreciate you guys joining us. Like I was saying earlier, that this started out being for club trainers, and then we changed it to Alaka'is, and then this year we changed it, decided to just call it club service and just kind of put it out there to the general public in your club. And then all of a sudden, like 20 people showed up. Now, sustaining that is always kind of challenging, but we feel if there's an opportunity for people to improve the conditions within their clubs, we want to have a forum to do it. So we're going to try to push this and promote it more in clubs this year. Next year, I'll be the district governor. So, we have most of the year to kind of build this up. And this will be the place where somebody in your club, and it's usually somebody who has some experience, the club administrator, maybe a past president, who wants to help improve the conditions within the club, will join this meeting, and typically it's kind of a conversation about some of the things that we're doing in clubs that are working, that are maybe challenging for clubs, because every club is significantly different. So I wanted to just take a minute real quickly. Maybe we all know each other, but just to introduce ourselves really quick. And well, I'm Benson Medina, and I'm the district governor-elect. I'm with the Rotary Club of South Hilo. There's 3 clubs in Hilo, and I'm one of them in South Hilo. And so I've been basically doing the district training with Naomi. I think this is our 6th year together. So it's our anniversary. So anyway, I'll turn it over to Naomi, and we can just kind of go around and chat a little bit about ourselves. Go ahead, Naomi.
Okay, Naomi Masuno, West Honolulu is my club. Thank you for all being here because I think, to talk about what goes on in the club and how we can enhance the club experience is really important. So what you folks do in the clubs and just to be here is, we're very thankful that you're willing to do this.
Yeah. Okay, Mike, how about you?
Good evening. I'm Mike Cass. I'm with Rotary Club Honolulu Sunset. I've been a member for a few years now, and prior was a member of Lahaina Sunset prior to moving to Oahu. So really love being part of Rotary, really love what we do. It's really, for me, being very involved in the corporate world and my daytime job, it's been nice for me to find a way that personally I can give back to this community, to this island that I love so much. So I'm really excited about this being I'm club service chair and then also president-elect for our club as well.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we like that. All right, Lila, how about you?
Oh, okay. I've been a Rotarian for 30 years with the Rotary Club of Honolulu. And last year, the club disappointed me, the leadership, and I couldn't stay a member. And so Benson and Naomi are still connected with me, and they know how much Rotary has meant to me personally and also professionally. I'm a former past president. I was actually at the district level for several years as the youth services coordinator under different district governors. And when Benson asked me and Naomi to see if I would like to play in this arena, I hesitated because I'm officially not a member of any club, although I know Benson's going to rook me into being part of South Hilo.
Yes.
I live in Honolulu. I live in Niu Valley. But I really truly believe that Rotary is an avenue for bringing not just peace in the conversation, but really for bringing young people along in leadership in the way that we value. The 4-way test is a 4-way test, but if we really look at the values, that's who we are. And you know the people in your club who were born Rotarians, they just didn't know it. And then there are those who become members and they thrive on it. So I'm here to listen. I'm here to be of service. And yeah, I'm really excited because I believe deeply that Rotary is an avenue for people to feel happier about themselves, what they do in the community, not just through community service, but by connecting with people, and especially our young ones. My just very briefly, my former career is with the public school system as a principal on Molokai and in Kailua, also teaching at the university and at Kapilani Community College. So I'm an educator, and I will apologize ahead of time for talking too much and also sounding a little academic sometime or a little esoteric, but Rotary is an avenue, and the club is the gateway. And so if we can make our clubs be places where people love to come and feel when they leave at the end of the day, at the end of that hour, wow, I'm so glad I came. That would be fabulous, because then they go back in the world and they're not cutting people off on the highway, right? They're not rude at longs. And they may even be able to share the essence of what it means to be a Rotarian in their workplaces. So sorry that was too long, Benson.
Yeah, that's okay. That's good. We like to hear the Rotary stories, and
Yeah, I'm
that's
sorry.
really great. So Lyman, why don't you go ahead? Give us your
Okay, my
411.
name's Lyman Abbott from Kihei Wailea.
Yeah.
And I was just made the foundation chair a few months ago.
Oh.
And I just made 1 year a few weeks ago. And so I'm still learning the position. My dad, just a little background, my dad was a district governor back in 1969
Wow.
with Waikiki Club, District 500. And that's when the international meeting took place, was in Waikiki, in Honolulu. So anyway, I'm just still learning my position and enjoying the meetings.
Great.
Wow, thanks for that. I can guarantee you right now, Naomi's looking it up right now because she's like, what? He was there? Yeah. I know that me and Naomi weren't Rotarians in 1969, but she's going to go back there because, you know, Rotary, the thing about Rotary is Rotary history is really important because we now get people that, you know, my grandfather started Maui Club, something like that. So Rotary's ended up to being the real great legacy piece. Okay, so
I
Naomi
found
looked
it.
at it.
I found it.
She confirmed it. Okay.
Yep. 1969.
Yeah.
1969, Waikiki, and his name is Agaton? Agaton?
Yeah, that's right, Agaton.
Wow.
Cool. That's very
That
cool.
is cool.
Thanks a lot. So we'll always make sure we mention that alignment when you're on the meeting.
Lyman,
So
Lyman,
that's
how are
great.
you related to Tommy Abbott and Ethan and the Abbotts over here?
Yeah, those are my brothers.
I thought so. I knew that you were the little brother. Tommy was my best friend. Tommy was
Yeah.
my best friend, and I went to University of Washington because he told me.
I see.
I wanted to go to University of Oregon, and he says, "Oh, it rains more than Washington because your family." But I know your father very well because I graduated in '69. Tommy was class of '70.
I
Oh,
see. I was 76.
yeah, blessings.
Yeah. And
I
my
love-
mom,
Right,
Paula Abbott. Yeah.
and Willa, and yeah.
Margot. Yeah, Will and Margot are still up here in Kula, Maui.
One person
Wow.
removed. One person removed, Benson.
Right. See ya. That's the great thing about being a Rotarian in Hawaii, man.
Yeah,
Well,
and we need a district governor from Maui.
Yeah. Okay.
Just saying.
Lyman, we'll line you up, brother. You're good. It's in your genes.
It is. It is.
Okay, well, hey, there's Gina. She's got her camera out, but you know, Gina, she's always listening. So I always like when, you know, it's time for Gina to talk. Okay, Gina, it's you, girl.
I am always listening.
Yeah,
Um,
of
my name's
course.
Gina. I'm from the Rotary Club of Honolulu Sunrise. We just made 30 years this year. However, I've only been a member for three some years now. I'm our current co-president right now. I don't know. That's kind of it.
No,
No,
that's
talk
cool.
about the youth day on Sunday.
You
It
want
was
Yeah.
Youth Day?
fabulous.
So it was a 30-something annual Children and Youth Day. I went to last year's one and it was I didn't think it was a great turnout. So we put together a committee, had some great ideas for making it more engaging, and we had at least 80 kids come through our booth, at least. And we did a wonderful job with bringing Roosevelt Interact in. They had like between 6 to 9 volunteers. They were running the games. We were able to chat with parents about some Rotary stuff. It was more light. It was more focused on the kids having fun than anything else. And we also were able to partner with Read to Me International. They had a little table in our booth. They were actually attracting a lot of the people because they had that little Go Fish game, the little
Uh,
Rotary Go Fish
Everybody
game
loves that
was
one.
making
Yeah.
note, right? Everyone saw that tiny little game on the table, and they all kind of came through. We had some Rotary themed coloring pages. Naomi, I don't know if Nancy shared that with you. She took a picture of it. But I made Rotary themed coloring pages. So one was like health, one was like education and literacy. There was a dinosaur reading a book, clean water. So it was had a little well, things like that. So I had 80 printed pages and I only had like six left. So I was blown away by the number of one kids that wanted to color. It was basically one kid per coloring sheet. And then we had two games, and not all the kids, most of the kids that played the games didn't do the coloring. So it just kind of gives you an idea of how many kids actually passed through our booth, which was amazing.
Wow, that's good. Mike, you got a question? Go for it.
Not a question, much more a statement. Gina, you just mentioned about Read to Me. I
Yes.
I just received a call today from Joanne Vieira,
Yep.
who I used to
That's on
work
the
with
board.
her. Yeah,
Yes.
I used to work with her husband when I was over on Maui. Anyway, she called me today to ask for a donation for the gala.
Yes.
And what she said, we were chatting for a while. We haven't seen each other in a little bit. And she was just saying, you people on Rotary are just like so amazing. She goes, you don't really call a lot of attention to yourself. She says, but you just get so much stuff done. She goes, it's just like you're out there just making it happen, but you don't like make a fuss about yourself about it. And she goes, just everybody in Rotary just seems to be so incredible. I said, well, we're people of action, Joanne. So, but she was really complimentary and very complimentary about your club and everything. So,
Oh, very cool.
yeah, so I just
Very
as soon as
cool.
you said that made me think of that earlier today. So
Yeah.
we're doing a 2 night donation in a 1 bedroom residence and
Oh,
everything.
wow.
Yeah, so
Oh,
we'll get that off
very,
tomorrow.
very nice. Yeah. Fun fact, our club was one of the founding organizations that put together RTMI.
That's great.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. So how's the co-presidency going? I know you're sharing that with Karen, so let us
Yeah.
know because lots of clubs are starting to go to, 2-year terms, co-presidency, trying to figure out some creative way to do leadership. How's that working for you guys?
It's just fine. And so
Yeah.
just to kind of share how it started, I was the secretary for a previous president that did a 2-year term. And of course he turns to me and goes, "Do you want to be president?" And I was like, "Well, I don't mind doing all the admin stuff, but I really know that I don't have the bandwidth to do the run the meetings, be the face of the club, all that kind of stuff. Because my natural tendency is to be an introvert, and so to do all the other things, I just don't have the energy. I'm going to turn into a curmudgeon, which I don't want our club to experience. I want, the president that's facing the club to be warm and welcoming, and make everyone feel like they want to be there. And I was like, I can't do that. I know I can't do that in the long term. And so I said, I will do it with Karen, Karen Lee from Ferraro Choi. And she first said no, flat out no. And I said, well, no is not never. And so I just kind of waited and
That
we
was
asked
not
her,
ever good
no,
one.
no is not never. And so we asked her again later and I presented her with a plan. And so what I did was I drafted out in my brain what the entire role of the president is. And I broke it out into me, her, and us. So it's very clear who was responsible for what things independently and what we shared together. And I presented that to her and basically described it like you're the front of house. If there is some kind of, you know, outward facing thing, like we did the 9/11 event in downtown, she went up to speak, not me. And it's like, that's you. That's all you. And I will be the
You're
main
front
point
of
of
the house,
contact for
yeah.
the district, right? I will attend the meetings and the trainings. I will be the one mainly planning the meetings and doing the slides and all that stuff. Not to say that we don't partner. I want her to participate as much or as little as she wants to. And so we meet weekly. I'll go over the agenda and the slides. I'll put together the slides for a meeting because yes, we do a slide-based meeting. Um, and then other things we just kind of discuss who's going to be doing what. But for the most part, it's pretty straightforward. How we're splitting that rollout. And so she does run the meetings. She's up there. I'll chime in, as needed. Uh, but what's really important about that is that she knows what the slides are. And she's a part of putting that together because the last thing you want is for your president to go
Yeah.
up there and not know what the next slide is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going just fine.
Gina, could you share those lists that you created? Because this, I'm always amazed. I love leadership. In fact, Lyman might remember I was head song leader at Punahou. And so I'm the cheerleader and I love to be out in front, not because it's front, but because it can move people. This idea of being a president scares a lot of people. And so the idea of co-presidenting and demystifying what leadership really means. Could you share, maybe send to
Yeah, of
Natalie and
course.
Vincent, how you
course.
divided the role?
Or if anybody wants it, I could drop it if you drop your email into the chat, I can send that to you as well.
Okay,
Either
super.
way, I'm happy to do either way.
Because I
Well,
think
as
that might
we're,
be a way to get
you
more
know,
people.
as we're working on developing leadership, because I really see that in our district as really our most pressing need,
Mhm.
right? Because it's pretty simple. If if the base of Rotary is its clubs, if you don't have leadership, you basically don't have a club. And we find that these clubs that are really struggling, some of them ultimately end up closing. It's because they lose their leadership. And so, we're looking at ways in which we can, be creative about leadership. And, the co-president thing, maybe that's something that we should teach that or encourage that, or at least give people the template. Like, if you're considering it, I mean, Gina and Karen really made it work. Maybe for one of our Saturday training sessions, you guys can come on and like talk about that, because I really think we put it out into the district about, hey, how about co-presidency as an option for your club? I can almost assure you there'll be a lot of attention to that one. I don't know what do you think, Naomi?
And the other structure could be that you have somebody else be the chairman of the board. And so when we talk about board training, if someone else can run the committees and the board things, and the president just has to do the meeting, not has to, but you split out the responsibilities.
Gets to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of ways that you could,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
could look to do those kinds
Yeah.
of things.
Yeah.
Well, I
Because
think that what's really cool, that made it really work is that you were committed to doing this co-presidency. You had a vision of how you saw it work. You laid it out really, with a lot of clarity. And then that's the thing that really empowers people, is when things are really clear. You're gonna do this part, I'm gonna do this part, and we're gonna do
But
this part. And that's cool. Cool thing.
But it's also part of having that mindset that you want to work together, because we have seen where you have co-presidents and they're not talking to each other.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
for you two, because you communicate and you have that mindset, it
We have
works.
to get along. You have to get
Yeah,
along.
there's
You have to
that,
like
right?
each
There's
other,
that.
and you have to have enough similarities where, uh, it's a harmonious thing.
Mhm.
And you can agree to disagree, but you have to have that really great relationship, or else it's not going to be that successful. And so to be clear, it's a tandem thing. It's not like I do the first quarter, she does the second quarter. We're literally doing it at the same time for the entire year.
Yeah, and I think that it takes planning and it takes some skill to do it that way, right? And you have to communicate and you have to like be in each other's orbit. And you're right, you have to sort of get along and agree like this is kind of the shared vision. But I think that that is a really viable option, man, because there are people in clubs that don't want to be president, but they have friends, people they get along with in the club that they could envision themselves doing it with them. So
So
that's a
Gina,
cool thing.
Gina, do you have a president-elect and a past president that's still around?
So our past president, Jerry, is our community service chair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he's still very much around, but I think because I was the secretary for the past 2 years and ended up doing a lot more in the operations of the club and the planning for the club than I would say a normal secretary does, a lot of the transition into this president role to me wasn't that much different. I just had free reins to make some goals and move the club in a direction that, I would just drop things to him as ideas previously and he could run with them or not. But that was his year, right? Now I get to with Karen. We did a whole bunch of planning. Back in April, we socialized in a club assembly, a whole bunch of ideas we're thinking about.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact,
a
I
lot of
remember
changes.
that. I remember that at Pets, you were telling me we're gonna socialize this.
We
And
did, and we did it early, and we've done it a lot.
now-
And it's in terms of change management, it's made a really big difference because we've had some very staunch members of our club that have been around for 30 years, and they just don't want to change anything because this is the club to them. They want to have a meeting every single week at 7:15 in the morning, like super, super like adamant that they do not want change. And just hearing it and also backing that up with data, right? Hey, we're running in the red with our dollars every year. The happy dollars is what's making up for it. Like backing up the things that we're trying to do with data and with reasons, so people understand where it's coming from and socializing it enough in a way that we're trying to not change who we are, but find out who we are today, but still honoring where we came from, right? That was really important. And so one of those members actually was like, they blessed a couple of these things, and we were really surprised. Like we moved from weekly meetings this month actually. We
Wow.
changed that.
Yeah.
Instead of in-person Zoom, well, hybrid Zoom, we're doing one hybrid, one Zoom, one breakfast. So same place, same time, just focus so purely on social to keep that cadence. And then my fourth week is going to be like a Rotary on the road. So we don't have one this month because of the holiday, but in November, I'm taking us on a Saturday to Habilitat. So we're going to do a tour, we're going to do a lunch. So really getting people out, like a field trip, trying something new, trying something exciting. So that's kind of how we're moving. We're gonna beta it for 6 months.
Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
also betaing, right? We're
Yeah.
gonna try and see what happens. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
just try and see what happens, and we're gonna be bringing guys along and see how everyone's feeling, give feedback. And we'll just see how it goes. Making people feel comfortable with trying new things. That was my ask of them. Let's just be
Yeah.
open and let's just try new things this year.
Yeah.
So is this your natural personality? Even though you said you're introvert, because
I have learned behaviors to be social. Not that I'm being super fake,
No, I
right?
understand. And my
It just takes a
question
lot of
comes-
energy, is all it is.
My question is actually to move us to the next conversation. So and maybe Mike and Lyman can weigh in on this, because when you're excited, even if the club goes na 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 na, I don't want to change, there's something that's
Yes.
curious
There's
about that
energy.
energy,
Yep.
right? And
There's
then they'll
energy
wanna play.
about it. Sure.
They'll want to play. And I think that that's what these sessions are about, is how do we energize our clubs?
Yes.
Well-
That's one of our goals. That's one of our priorities. Reconnect and re-energize our club.
Okay.
There you go, Nip Benson.
Yeah, that's great. So, that kind of like rolls us into our conversation about club experience. So, I wanted to just share this graphic with you real quickly, and then we'll come back and chat a little bit about it, right? So basically what Rotary found out is that people join and stay with clubs because they have really positive club experience, right? And so, here are like the 5 aspects of those, right? And the first is meeting enjoyment, right? When members have fun, they feel like they're being included and belonging. They like the meetings. And so that's why Rotary is really encouraging club presidents to be creative about your meetings. Like, a lot of clubs, they follow the same format the club has been following for 50 years. Do the Pledge of Allegiance, ring the bell, do the Pledge of Allegiance, welcome new members, do happy dollars, da 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 da. Bring the same nonprofit out to talk about, why they need money, and that's about it. But if you look at what Gina was just talking about, hey, we're going on a field trip. We're going to do Rotary on the road. We're going to do some meetings hybrid. We're going to just focus on social. So people have to come and really enjoy the meeting. So that's number 1. So number 2 is having confidence in their leadership, and that, they feel like the leadership has their best interests in mind. They're energizing the club, and that's why I think the Gina Karen thing really works, because people like them. They feel energized when they're around. They feel like they're working hard and they have the best interests in the club in mind. And then so this helps actually to create and promote leadership going forward, right? So now people in the club can look at Gina and Karen, or Mike and Lyman, or and anyone, and say, this is a cool thing. I would love to be on the creating part of enthusiasm, right? So confidence in club leadership. The third is like personal growth opportunities, because what I see is that a lot of Rotarians, by the time they come to Rotary, they're sort of like over themselves, right? They're ready to do a purpose beyond just them. And so they really want to grow. I mean, I know in the 10 years that I've been Rotarian, I'm a completely different person now than I was when I started. And that's simply because Rotary gave me opportunities to kind of grow as a person. So that's number 3. Number 4 is the connections, and it's really just about creating those relationships, right? And so what I find is that a lot of Rotarians, they come because they want to network with people, and they want to do service. But ultimately, the thing that keeps them there for a long time is the relationships that they form that are really valuable to them in their life. And I think about the relationships that I have in Rotary, and that pretty much all of my best friends are really all in Rotary, because we have similar type of thought patterns, right? So those connections, those relationships really do it. And then 5, of course, an opportunity to do really meaningful service, right? That they go out there and they're doing the give back, right? And when we have people, new members join in our club, and we ask them, hey, so why did you join Rotary? What was it about Rotary? And their response is always, well, because it's time for me to give back to my community. So those 5 things are all kind of common sense, but I wanted to chat a little bit about them and see what you guys thought, and how does that work for your club, and can you see those 5 things working in tandem or in a collection to help create the kind of environment that will make people really, really stick in your club? So Mike, what's your thought?
Yeah, I think about this a lot. We have I think we're very lucky. We have a fairly large contingent of kind of old guard, have been there for a while and are very passionate about the club, and really have the history of the club, and really kind of are the heart of it, right? Are the heart and soul of the club. I think the opportunity lies when new people come in. Sometimes I think it's hard, right? When you go to a group of people that know each other, have been there for a long time, have a common history, it's hard to kind of break into that, right? 'Cause I don't have that common history with you, right? And how can we quickly assimilate them, you know? And I think, I love what Gina, you said about Rotary on the Road, is really neat. And I think that conversation around open to trying new things, because I think as humans, we always gravitate towards comfort and safety and security. And so we look to keep things consistent and the same. So sometimes things which may seem like, oh, this isn't that big a change, to some people can be a very big change. And I think as leadership, we have to be respectful of that and understand what I may think is really not that big a change. Other people can be somewhat earth-shattering, right? And I think finding ways to navigate that, because you certainly want to keep the old guard in the club while also making room for the new people. And they quickly can feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves. Because, like what you just said, Benson, that's the reason why I joined. I wanted to find a way that I can give back beyond just, my corporation tends to take ownership of whatever I do. So this is a way, no, this is me doing it because it's what I want to do as a human being, not because my company has told me I need to do it, right? And I think that's what people join, and how can we quickly give them a channel to do that and feel warm and welcome. And our club is very warm and welcoming to people. I think it's just how the assimilation, we can do that. So. I think you're on mute, Benson.
Yeah, I know. Lyman, what about you? Anything in there like ring a bell for you?
Yeah, when I first started in Rotary a year ago, I didn't really know any of the members. And so over a year's time, it's really nice to have become fairly good friends with almost everybody. I go to dinner, supper clubs with some people, and we have a Rotary on the Road, which I think is very important for our club because it keeps things fresh, and we do very diverse things with Rotary on the Road. And so, I'm thinking of Oahu people, the Foster Botanical Gardens. That's such a beautiful spot you could go to with your club. We just went to a plant nursery up in Kula, and then a beautiful garden in Wailuku. And so I think Rotary on the Road is really important to our club.
Okay, that sounds good. Lila, you've seen a lot of like pretty creative things. I mean, we've talked about this whole, club experience, all those 5 different components. Do you feel like and any of them really resonate in terms of being super important, in terms of keeping your club together?
Well, they all are in different percentages. I think it depends on the club as well and how large. So Rotary Club of Honolulu, when I came in, was easily 300 people. And we met at the Royal Hawaiian, the Monarch Room. And so it was much more social rather than intimate. I love going to Gina's, or actually yours, Mike, Sunset with Arjun there. And you have such a dynamic ages. The Hobins are there that have been there for centuries. Okay.
The heart, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it really matters. I think if there's one aspect that's really it's the connections, because we could lose confidence, or we can have minimum confidence in the leadership, and it's easy to say, well, they'll only be here for a year, or others will be, following up. But it's the connections that people have. And if it's not within the club, when you do a service project, the connections outside the club with people there. So I know from a district level, we want to build Rotary in the different clubs and have it be a gathering place for people. Personal growth opportunities. I know that Benson had shared that it depends on where people are, what stage they are in their professional lives. I would love to see us be very attractive place for the quote young professionals.
Yeah.
The Rotaract kids, okay, in college, we want to hang on to them. We want them to have the values. But there's this generation like my son. So my son is 39, lives in San Francisco. He grew up with Rotary, obviously. And when I said, are you going to join the Rotary Club of San Francisco or whatever it is? It's a little shishi for him, that the club right downtown.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know people, but he works downtown. So that would be a logical place. It's not a place where he would feel at home. And I think that's sort of what I'm hearing you say, Lyman, that your members feel at home regardless of where they are.
Yeah, and it's a fairly small club. It's like we have a satellite club, and combined we're about 45 people.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I think the average size club in our district's probably like 20, right? Or less, maybe, Naomi? Yeah,
Yeah, it's about 20.
yeah,
So it's kind of even between small up to 20, then 20 to 30, and then 30 to up and up. It's even.
yeah. So, Naomi, you've been in Rotary a long time. I mean, you've seen Rotary come out with all kinds of different things to, help promote, membership, maybe foundation giving. Well, what's your take on this, on the club experience angle now, where, it's about creating the right kind of environment that make people belong.
Mhm. Yeah, it's when you hear about the old ways, the way it used to, like at Bank of Hawaii, that's how it used to be when we had Willie Cannon as the chairman. It was a family organization, and everybody helped each other out. But with the new generation, it's really different. People have more choices to do other things, and so even in our clubs, they don't want to go downtown because it's too far, or they don't want to spend $25 for lunch. It's very different. For the Honolulu Club, I heard that people would go because they wanted to go to the Royal. It was special. Just to
Yeah.
go to the Royal was, really something. But you don't have that now. And so you're bouncing around from here to there. So it's that continuity, even on the district level. We need continuity. We
Yeah.
need to show that, we have roots, that our roots are deep.
Yeah. So Gina, back to you now. So, do you think that it's more about really trying to create the environment where people, you know, like a trust environment and relationships can kind of grow there, or do you think it's really more about the leadership and the enthusiasm of the leadership? Because I mean, obviously, that's worked really well for you guys, right?
So if we're talking about attracting and retaining members, is that kind of like the
Yeah,
main
I mean,
gist of
why
it?
people would want to be around Rotary because they like that environment and what it takes to create and really hold that environment.
So in attempting to, well, in attempting to look at young professionals, I was like, okay, I know that they're young YP organizations, and I would like to go to speak to them. They have cohorts that come through. What better way to one, at least get Rotary's name out there? Because honestly, generally speaking, I feel like Rotary's marketing is kind of not great. Because most people I say I'm in Rotary, they have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm like, this is not good. Everybody knows Lions Club. They have no idea what Rotary is. So minimum, it was to get, Rotary's name out there. And then it also is a recruiting tool. Invite them to a meeting, invite them to some service projects, right? And have some kind of like funnel to bring new members in. I have not moved forward. I've done a lot of brainstorming and thinking about that because I'm like, I need to kind of like a company, right? Kind of like a company, kind of like a brand. Who is Rotary? Who is our club? And the reason I haven't moved forward was because I'm struggling just a little bit. I'm getting closer to the answer, but I've been struggling with that. And in the thinking about who we are, I think one of the main things that happened was the internet. Rotary used to be a place pre-internet where you could come together to meet people. It was a tool to meet people to get information that you otherwise wouldn't have. But with the rise of the internet, the ease of access with social media, you don't need a Rotary Club to give you information. You don't need a Rotary Club to meet people. You don't need a Rotary Club to find community service events. It is at your fingertips anytime, right? So it's kind of like for me trying to redefine the value of Rotary as opposed to paying money just to volunteer, right? So how can I propose the value of Rotary to these young to these YPs and tell them pay money to be in in a community service club without being able to articulate what else they get. Oh, you get to make friends. They have friends. They can make friends online, right? So what is the value that Rotary brings in today's world? And
Yeah.
that's kind of what I've been struggling with. And I know that wasn't your question, but that just reminded me of just the general atmosphere and situation that we have found ourselves in. We are kind of leaning towards, for YPs, the value that it could bring is connecting with others and building strong connections with people over a period of time. Some of these YP orgs, they may be a little bit more surface, where you go through the cohort and it's up to you to maintain those relationships. Whereas Rotary gives you a place where that happens naturally and organically. So that's one thing. Our club has a lot of business owners, business leaders, C-suite, and so that's another draw, right? They can come in and network and be connected with these people. Even if they're retired, it doesn't change the fact that they built and owned their own business, right? There's a lot of learning opportunities for them. What better way to find a mentor and a confidant?
Right.
Also, we can offer them leadership opportunities, right? And at that Children and Youth Day that just happened, watching the Roosevelt kids create the rules for the games, run the games, take breaks and coordinate their breaks with each other to make sure that the games were still run, problem solve on the spot, communicate with each other, right? Work with strangers. It was like that's kind of what the YPs could get from Rotary. A safe space to try and learn new skills. And maybe they're going to be in the public image committee and learn how to do the website. It's a
Yeah.
safe place to do it, right? So that's to me how I'm trying to formulate
Yeah.
my articulation of the value of Rotary to these YP orgs.
Yeah.
And for
Well,
our
we-
club, sorry, one more thing. For our club, there is a very distinct divide between old guard and new members. And it's not really anything to do with age. There's a lot of people that have been friends for 20, 30 years. And when they need help, they just help each other. And they'll sit together, they'll chat, they'll have all these conversations. And what I'm trying to do now, when I'm trying to reconnect our club, is provide the club opportunities that are not in meetings, because it's hard to do it in meetings, but like at breakfast. And so one initiative that we started was to have a monthly social. And we will ask for volunteers, and the volunteers will organize that social. And it gives our club an opportunity to organically create new bonds with each other, with the new people, with the old guard, right? And create what happened over 20 years and create the situations that allow for new relationships to form. So that's how you get support within your club. It's who you know and who you like, right? And who your friends are, and they'll support you. And that's how you get people to stay, amongst service opportunities and things like that. That's
Well,
stepping off my soapbox.
yeah, that's great. Naomi and I were talking about the whole young professionals thing, and we were saying that one of the things we feel like that could be attractive is if we develop a community leadership program that was a certificate program, something that you could come in and actually get that, because a lot of them are in that resume building stage of their career, right? And then mentorship is the other thing that we have a lot of really great business people in that could provide mentorship. But one of the things that Naomi and I have talked about for years is, what is our value proposition, right? What is our value proposition? You wanna chat about that, Naomi? I mean, we've had a lot of discussions about this.
Yeah, and it's different things for different people.
Right.
And so, if people are not getting it on the club side, This is where the district needs to provide that value. So what is the value? So one is the fellowship, the Rotary fellowships and action plan, action groups. If we can provide that, or international service opportunities or leadership, but all of these ideas are just ideas unless we implement. And so that's what, Benson and I, we need to implement. So this young professionals networking thing, we had that before. We're considering firing it up again. So it'll be on Zoom, run by young professionals, and that's one. And there's another idea of the Hawaiian culture. So if you have a Zoom with people who are sharing their Hawaiian cultures and the values, then people can learn about that and grow within our own community, right? So we need to provide those, and we need to do something about it, right? Not just talk.
Yeah, yeah. Action works. Action works really well. You have to kind of do that. So, Mike, anything you want to add to the conversation? Do you feel like your club is in that mode where you have a really strong environment and people feel really motivated to want to stick into it? Because one of the things that we're going to start at the end of this year is we're going to have a district award, kind of like Paul Harris Award. It's called the Aola Mau, and it's really as a designation for people who want to make a lifetime commitment to Rotary. And there's plenty of them out there. It's just say, hey, this for me, I like this, I feel strong about that. Or again, it was a special pin. Naomi said we should sign like a little pledge, and it doesn't. It's not a contract, but it just, people feel strongly about it. And we think that, when you get a base of people in your club that said, hey, this is good, I like this, I make a commitment to this, we feel like that will spread. And that at some point, everybody will want to do that, right? So that's sort of an idea we're going to try to move forward with at the beginning of next year. And what do you think about that, Mike? What's your thought about acknowledging people who made a lifetime commitment to Rotary?
Yeah, I really like that, right? Because I think that a lot of us are looking to do that, right? We are looking for this to be part of our legacy for what we do for the community, right? And for someone like me who, at some point we transitioning from my, professional career to a different, part of my life, having that, I think, and bringing those skills and keeping, and having the opportunity to learn and grow, in the next stage is, I think, really, really important. And Gina said something earlier too. I just wanted to comment on with the connections, right? In this day and age where we can find everything on the internet. Do I really need to go to Rotary meeting? I can go to ChatGPT and basically run the world over here, right? But what you do, I found I've hired 3 people at the hotel because of Rotary. That, and this is not this. I don't mean this to sound like an egomaniac, but I never would have met these people if it would not have been for Rotary. And we're talking about servers, people in the kitchen, right? But a lot of times I think what young people don't have the experience of knowing, a lot of companies now, everything's online, go apply, go to the application, and it's all, it's big systems and things, and it's very easy to get lost in the shuffle. As much as everything is online and on the internet and self-serve, it's still a world where human connections matter. I think in many ways more so than ever, right? And how can you cut through and get out of this cycle of, put your application there, fill out that thing, hit submit. And then those connections that you form in the most unlikely of places, right? And I think that's a really valuable thing in Rotary, that people will get to know you for who you are and the unique things that you bring as an individual, and being valued for that, and I think there's value in that, because I think, Gina, what you were saying really just kind of sticks in my head. What is the value of the money? I don't need to spend money to get a friend, right? And but if I'm going to spend money, whatever the your membership dues are, what is the value of that? And I think it's an interesting question, right? And I think the answer could be different for depending on the actual member, right? But being able to answer in a variety of ways. Maybe it's even by age bracket. Somebody new, their 20s might be a very different answer from somebody who's been a member for 20 years and is in their late 50s, right? But how do we make the club serve a variety of
Yeah.
purposes, you know?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
and remain relevant.
Maybe Benson, I'd like to suggest to at least Lyman and Gina and Mike, when you go back to your clubs, it's always curious to find out why someone became a member. You know, and just in conversation, you know, what I used to do is as part of the agenda of the meeting, there would be like 5 minutes where you turn to your neighbor and you answer a question. Not a question like what's your favorite color or what's, you know, what's your favorite ice cream flavor, but what surprised you today, you know, as an example, or what struck you about Rotary? Why did you become a member? And and then have them share with their table just so that they get to know each other. It's usually because someone said, "Come to lunch with me."
That's exactly it. I actually interviewed about 2/3 of our club in one-on-one interviews before when I took the presidency. I have about a third to go.
Super.
And that was one of the questions. Why did you join Rotary? And then why are you still here? Because there are two different answers
Yeah.
potentially,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes,
And a lot of them was because somebody asked.
Right.
exactly.
Now with retirees, I'm seeing a lot of I was at a stage in my life where I wanted to do something more, right?
Yeah.
And the other answer that I see a lot
Give
is
back.
yes, I wanted to do more than just me, right? I wanted to do something bigger than me.
Yeah.
And then the other answer I get is that I'm looking for a community. Those are
Yeah.
the three main answers that I why people join Rotary that I've seen in our club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things I'm seeing now, we had a couple of people join who are recently retired, right? And we asked them why did they join Rotary. They said, well, I wanted to I just retired, but I wanted to retire to something, not just from work. And so I wanted to go to Rotary. I mean, that was sort of their purpose, was to kind of do that. But you said something interesting earlier, Gina, when you say, you know, we have this sort of kind of natural divide in our club, right? And it doesn't have anything to do with ages, right? Isn't it more like about how they think, right? Their thought process. Is that the difference you're seeing?
It's just more time. They've been together forever. So
Okay.
naturally over time their relationships formed. And it's really hard to like kind of break in to those 20-year-old relationships, right? And so we found we needed to create spaces to allow those natural connections to form again, the same way it happened previously, but to create the space for that, because meetings are not the space for that. It's too in out, you know, listen to the speaker
Yeah.
and leave.
And that's so mindful, Gina, you know, because when I asked my son, you know, you could make new friends, and he goes, "Mom, I have all the friends I need." You know, I mean, he
Which is
Oh,
watches,
yeah.
legitimate. It's totally fine.
they watch
Totally
football
legit.
on Zoom, and he's in San Francisco, his buddies are in LA and Hawaii, and so I don't need more friends, Mom. I know.
Hey, so
But
Gina, do you have that group that goes biking together?
Yes, that's us.
Wow.
Yes, that's us.
So that was interesting that they chose a place and they go clean up, or you know, you do a service project there, and you have a small microclimate within your club.
Yes, it's
wow.
kind of like high school. It's like there's little cliques of stuff, right? And it's not bad. It's, you know, it's just people gravitate towards each other.
Yeah, so one of the ideas that I had tossed to um, Bob Wool when he was president at Honolulu Club was to invite, and this is when he was in Waikiki, the club was in Waikiki, was to go to the companies around you and see if you could start developing leadership. So the up and coming managers. So you say, okay, this cohort of young up and coming managers will help you with leadership skills. So you invite them to the meeting when you have a good speaker, and then they stay afterwards to speak to the speaker, and the speaker gives them their philosophy and some one-on-one time. But take this group and mentor them with people you have in the club. So business people can talk to you, the architects can talk to, you know, Joe, you know, and you develop them, and then there's a natural progression to become a Rotarian from there.
Yes, that's kind of a different spin on how I was trying to kind of plan and format out this YP integration thing.
So if everybody could do that, we'll get the next generation of Rotarians.
And just so you know, if I find members, it's about finding the right fit for them with the clubs. It's not just trying to bring them into my
Right.
club, because maybe a lot of people don't want to get up at 7:15. Well, get
Yeah.
up, be at an in-person meeting at 7:15 in the morning on a Monday.
No.
Wow,
Okay, so
you
what
guys
if
do it
with-
Monday at 7:15?
You
Wow.
folks
You should
still
see what I
sing
tell
too?
Pauhana. Pauhana's
that's
they
amazing.
look at me like I'm nuts.
No, but it might work for some people because maybe they got to go home for some reason. So what if the downtown Hui went to the businesses around and if we got people, then you could say, okay, you could do the morning club or you can do the lunch club with West Honolulu or the evening club with Pauhana, and then we could, start this whole big program.
I like the idea of turning into a program. I would think I would want to learn more about the YP organizations and their curriculum, to make sure that we're providing something that's unique.
Right.
There's so many YP orgs, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
a lot of them are just the socialization and they do projects together, but ours would be the leadership and the connection, the mentorship with people who are in the industry that are in our clubs. And so, Lila, if that's something, because leadership is your sweet spot, right? That might be a program we could start. But Honolulu Club did start something recently along that line.
Okay, well, folks, an hour goes by when you're having fun. So, appreciate your time tonight, your input on it. Man, we're learning a lot. I mean, I always laugh at Gina because she always talks about, I'm such an introvert. And then, she gets on these things and she just like kills it. So it's very cool. And so that's where, we find our emerging leaders a lot when we do pets, right? And I remember last year I was sitting by Gina and we were talking about this shirt and she said, well, I hope I recommend that you do it like a dark color. I just remember that. It would go more with the things that women wear. And so I never forgot that. I said, hey, all right, well, hey, I gotta go.
Just me. Just me.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
But-
how come you
yeah,
picked white then?
creative.
You picked
Well,
white.
No,
dark.
I did
Yeah.
not. I chose the dark blue, which was not dark.
Yeah. It needs to be darker. Maybe we'll do
Navy. The
maybe we'll do-
rotary navy would be
maybe
beautiful.
we'll do a black or something. But
Black.
but anyway, folks, we're here the first Tuesday of every month. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate everybody's really thoughts on this, and we're going to encourage more people to participate in the conversation because relationships can grow, but the food for that is conversations, and so having conversations is what makes it grow. So well, appreciate you guys' time today, and thanks for remembering Naomi to record it. So now we have it forever and ever, and
Oh,
it'll
great.
be in the Smithsonian
Gina,
in 100 years. So
Mike and I put our, and Benson too, put our emails there.
Email was already sent.
Awesome.
sent it.
Thank you.
Gina's
Awesome.
on it.
Thank you, Gina.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you,
folks.
Benson.
Chat more.
Naomi.
Yeah. If you don't see you guys before next month, have fun. Enjoy Rotary out there. Thanks.
Nice to
Okay.
meet you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.